So the greatest trade deficit in America is the trade deficit between white corporate America and black America. And until we close that trade deficit, we cannot achieve one America, which is what Martin Luther King died for. He was attempting to achieve one America. You know, Coretta Scott King was a friend of mine, and I wanted to learn a lot about Martin Luther King, and I really wanted to learn from her point of view. And she said to me, Byron, they didn't kill my Martin over the I Have a Dream speech. They killed him over the speech that he gave at Stanford University in February of '68. They murdered him 2 months later. And in that speech, he gave that speech, which was the other America. And he said in that speech, there are two Americas. One America has access to opportunity and economic inclusion. And two Americas will not survive. We must achieve one America. And that's the issue. And I remember Coretta Scott King telling me that. And I said, you and Martin, you know, because they murdered him at age 39. I said, you and Martin, you did more than enough. It's our turn, this generation, to achieve the fourth and final chapter. Because she said, Byron, as black people, we had three major challenges. Number one, end slavery. Number two, right? Number one, that's a big one. Achieve, end slavery. Number two, end Jim Crow. That was really personal because as a little girl, she worried every day about her father being lynched. Number three, achieve civil rights. And then she choked up again like she choked up about her father. She said, number four, achieve economic inclusion. And I said, we will deal with the fourth and final chapter, economic inclusion. So she said, she laid it out, slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights. And it was simple. It was clear as day when she laid it out to me. It's never been black or white. It's never been black or white. We've always thought black and white. It's always been green. Green was the color, not black, not white. Why did they bring us here from Africa? They brought us here from Africa to build the wealth, the greatest wealth on planet Earth. Why did they start the genocide against us? Because we were freed and they did not want to compete with us for the green. So what did they do? They started the economic genocide by using, you will not have access to education. No education. You won't have access to economic inclusion, bank loans, money that's not predatory, economic inclusion. So the greatest trade.
So that we can do more for the community. Bro, you got to trade, he got to trade, he got to trade. Come together, build something, and then go serve the community. When that's going to happen? Black men are so lazy. And Oh, my bad. I didn't know that LA Times just wrote an article about the Crenshaw Food Hub. A bunch of black farmers, brothers in agriculture, others in the culinary arts, others in business who pulled their resources together, went straight to Crenshaw, opened up a store where they're giving our people good foods, organic foods that's coming straight off of farms. They're giving them hot foods with the cooks who are cooking in the back. But I didn't know that the Boys to Menhood Foundation and Flag Universe partnered with them so that we can bring in young boys to learn about how you can pull your resources together so that they could see other men who look like them, who are actually being useful for the community. I didn't know that they was learning about agriculture. I didn't know they learned about cooking and how you could take a trade like that and you can go and make some money and you can build something. I didn't know they learned about trade and commerce right there on the spot. I didn't know. Well, I'll tell you this much. If you don't think black men are out there doing anything, it's because you ain't out there. Man, when is black men gonna stop acting like?
I really like Mamdani being mayor because having a Muslim mayor, I feel like it connects me deeper to the city of New York.
And as New York City's first Muslim mayor.
There's feelings about the Muslim community that he can help change because some people view Muslims as bad people.
It's show the Islamophobics what Muslims can do, how smart they are and how bright they are.
What do you think people think about Muslims that you think needs to be corrected?
They think that Muslims are like rude and terrorists, but that's not true. They're just normal people like the rest of them.
Our city, we don't have a lot of the
Muslim be the mayor. We only have Christian be the president instead of Muslims. So it feels great.
I'm kind of like proud that New York City is like rising up. Like if we can pick our first Muslim mayor, people would be more accepting for Muslim people. There's a lot of people. You think it would be loud, but it felt like quiet, like a little calm, focusing on the prayer. I could say, I prayed with the mayor of New York City before. It makes us feel like we welcome in the city of New York.
Men who were wrongly convicted and spent 28 years behind bars have been exonerated and have had their convictions vacated by a judge. Jamal Shuler, Mark Brittingham, and Rashid Smith were sent to prison for a 1997 murder. An eyewitness placed the men at the home at the time of the murder, but new forensic evidence has called into question the time of death. The victim likely died a day later than when the three men were spotted near that location. Attorneys for the men say they are grateful to the district attorney for its thorough, independent review to uncover the truth. Three Philadelphia men who were...
Good morning and welcome to Black Press USA's morning show. I'm Nielle, and this is where we bring you the headlines in the culture. And writing co-pilot is the host of the Jill Monroe Show from KPLA Talk Radio, which is owned by Tabitha Smiley here in LA. Welcome, Jill Monroe.
Thank you, Nielle. I'm glad to be back. Happy Friday.
I'm glad that you are back as well. You're always bringing the culture and the headlines, so we're glad to have you here because we have a lot to talk about today. But let's start with the videos. Starting off with Byron Allen talking about the other America that Reverend Dr. King talked about and economic inclusion. We talk so much right now about the fight for DEI, but we never really talk about the economics of it. And I think that what Byron Allen is talking about as he's been doing this media blitz since he's now back on late night television and acquiring BuzzFeed and Stars and everything else he's buying up. I think he's setting an example of what it looks like when you find your own inclusion with it when it comes to economics.
I mean, yes, definitely. Byron Allen is, on his way to billionaire status and he's acquired things. But my issue, so to speak, it's not really an issue, but something that crosses my mind whenever Byron Allen is brought up is he acquires all of these companies, but there is no elevation in them. And I often ask, as we hear him talk about Black economics and all of these things, does he have a tree? Is he expanding, the Black involvement for the culture? Or are these really just independent individual achievements? Because he owns the Griot, which one of our clips was from, but has the Griot expanded since he took ownership, or have they moved back, right? I just feel as though he acquires things, but nothing really comes of it, so to speak. Not that I expect one individual to save the Black community, but where is his, he owns several networks and he puts programming out, but where's his Tyler Perry, for lack of a better word, or Lena Waithe, or my girl being Mary Jane, I'm blanking on it, Mara Brockett. Where is his TV maker that he, sets the funds for? It's a Black production. It employs Black writers, Black producers, or whomever behind the scenes. I don't see a lot of that. Even when he launched the Griot Network, it was mostly reruns. And I know that that is a strategy, but I don't feel like he really taps in really to the culture to put on for them in both ways. Again, he doesn't have to, but when I hear him speak about Black economic power, I just wonder when
is it just for him?
Yeah.
Is it just for him? I mean, I get that too. I was just thinking about Tyler Perry and how Perry gets, criticized for writing, producing, and directing everything. Like, where are his black writers and things like that? But on the flip side, he does employ a lot of black people and keep a lot of black people working. And I get your point about Byron Allen, but I do like his business smarts. I think he's very business savvy. He's always standing up to the white folks. I like what he did. He sued McDonald's, and he made headway with that, with diversity, equity, inclusion. So I think he and for the griot, for me, it's a way for me to watch Bill Cosby. Nobody else is running Bill Cosby except the griot and TV One. So I mean, he does have, and he's also married to a white woman. Let's not forget about that. But at the same time, you have to give him his chops for, taking that Steve and Colbert spot, right? Like, he came in and he bought the time. I think that's a great business example of to where I don't need you guys to give me a time slot. I'll just buy it and I'll do what I want to do on it. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about Byron Allen in the show, but I didn't know that Crenshaw had a food hub ran by Black men. Did you?
I knew nothing about it, but I do know that in the Crenshaw district, there are a lot of programs that have cropped up as of late for, the youth in that area to ensure that they're enriched, programs to train them. And what I loved about that video is not just that there's a hub where we can get fresh food, because that's important, because we know that it could be a food desert very easily, the way that things are turning over. But I like that they are teaching trades to the young men, that they are learning how to be chefs and how to manage businesses, because I think that aspect is very important, to have trade knowledge and to be able to show them other ways that they can start a business besides entertainment. And I love it.
I love that too. And then we move to one of Byron Allen's entities, the griot. I thought that was a great story of just, faith. And I think it made me think of DEI, diversity. Diversity is important. We had Dr. Marcus Hunter on yesterday, and just a liberating conversation with him. But I mean, I think that video points out why diversity is so important, because it brings understanding, and to hear how much those little kids felt seen. I just kept hearing, and they were saying a lot of things, but they felt seen. They felt like their religion or faith wasn't something that you have to hide in a closet. To see like their leaders praying with them, that meant something to those little kids and will make an impact. We talked yesterday about a study that says when you have conversation about ethnic studies, different religions, different races, it makes for a better person, even on an elementary level. And so I thought that was a great video as well. And then, of course, another aspect of Black men. A lot of Black men are locked up and shouldn't be. It's the exonerated 5 sometimes. It's the exonerated 1, the exonerated 2. Here you have, I think it was the exonerated 3. So just to see those Black men come home, but I think it ties back to what Byron Allen was talking about, and it's like economic inclusion. They're back home, but now what?
Right.
What will be their quality of life? What will be their access to have economic inclusion, really?
It's going to be hard to, reconnect them with society. Think about it. They were wrongly imprisoned for 28 years. 28 years ago, it's 1998. The world is so different. So I think that there's the acclimation process. And then from there, I mean, hopefully they learned a skill while they were in there. I'm not sure how old they were when they went in, but that's a huge adjustment.
I think so
Maybe
too.
they'll get some money though, since they were wrongly incarcerated. So
Yeah.
working may not be an issue for them because they certainly better be walking away with monetary compensation.
I totally agree. Let's see what the chat is saying. RNG is saying happy swag hoodie day. And tune in tonight. He has a HBCU sports show on YouTube. You definitely want to check that out. He's talking about tonight, everybody is about to get smoke about the SEC boycott. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later in the show too, RNG. And also drop in the chat how yesterday went in Louisiana. You said you were at the State House. So let us know what happened yesterday. We'd love to hear about it. Good morning, Michelle Madison. Nancy Wall said that Byron Allen was making a great point. And good morning, happy Friday. Merry Friday to you too. And then we have a Trumpkin in the original Tim from chat says any man that listens to a woman will suffer. Well, bless your heart. Bless your heart. And Nancy Wall says, I think when you say diversity, equity, and inclusion makes more sense than repeating DEI. Let's say what it really is. I think so too, because you think about it, diversity, equity, inclusion. I mean, that just seems like something that any basic country should have. Diversity, equity, inclusion, especially when you are supposed to be the country of great experiments and immigrants from all across the world.
Right.
It makes the most sense. But common ain't common these days, Jill. It's just not common.
Listen, I agree with you. I think that time and time again, studies have shown the benefits of having a diverse environment, financially, conversation, people feeling supported, the experiences combined you just mentioned, but for whatever reason, it is offensive to them, and they have somehow convinced themselves that it puts us at an advantage, even though the math shows you're still ahead. So
right. That's why, maybe you should I don't know what it is with white folks, but maybe some of y'all should go to your Koreatown. Maybe you should visit your little Ethiopia. You know what I'm saying? And
I feel as though they do to eat.
You feel as though they do to eat. But they're missing the point. You know what I'm saying? They are totally missing the point. I know here in Little Tokyo, they have some of the best karaoke bars. Have you ever been to a karaoke bar in Little Tokyo? I mean, it's not your regular going to your local dive bar and sing a song. I mean, it is a full experience. I mean, you have those little gadgets that everybody is wearing on their purses. What are they called? Those little latchkeys that all the women now have to have.
The labubus?
The labubus, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, those are things that we are taking trends from other countries. Hello Kitty. You know what I mean? Like, all of these things, if you think about it, it's diversity. You know what I mean? And which brings equity and inclusion. And I just don't understand why we're not getting it. It makes for a more adventurous country when you have so many cultures. Why do you think we have Taco Tuesday? We took a little bit of the Mexican tradition and mixed it with the Black, and now we have Taco Tuesday.
Like I said, they love the food, the music, certain aspects, but financial equity seems to be a turnoff for them, threatening.
And it's so funny. There's another video that has been trending for like at least 5 months of this girl. I don't know if she works in Tijuana or what, but she did a video because, Tijuana, a lot of people go get their teeth fixed in Tijuana. And so she did a video about how as soon as Tijuana or the border opens up in the morning, it's nothing but white folks crossing that border.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, just droves, and then at the end of the day, they're all coming back. I mean, and so it's just like we all have something to give and we all need each other. And so I just don't understand why you would have a white-led administration just think that they should control all of us, like we're theirs to control. Like this is just all theirs. The air is theirs. Like we're breathing their air. It's crazy to me.
Ridiculous.
But God's plan. It's God's plan, right? God's plan. Let's see. We have some new comments coming in. So Orange G is saying, so yesterday there was another action as our Louisiana brothers and sisters are fighting for voting rights. And Orange G says a lot of people were kicked out yesterday and a final vote in the Senate didn't happen, but a lawsuit is getting ready to be filed. And so we know a lot of things are happening down south. We're getting a lot of intel that we'll be able to share with you. But the South got something to say, okay? And all roads lead to the South. And so as we are fighting for our voting rights, I think, we're learning to have broader conversations now about what it means to be a dual citizenship, or even this conversation that we're having about economic inclusion and how that would help a lot of us as well. So let's jump into our first story. We'll continue to talk about this Byron Allen conversation because I thought on his media blitz, he had a lot of interesting things to say. And he also discussed a massive majority stake in BuzzFeed, 11% of stars, as he is redefining what media ownership looks like. Take a look at this.
You've had some very, very impressive announcements lately. Like you're buying everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is
stars. You bought BuzzFeed, or 10% of stars.
Yeah. We bought just under 11%, 10.7%. I like Stars. Stars says that they're going after the underserved. That's code for Black. Don't tell anybody.
Right.
So if you're gonna go after us, maybe we should own it. All right. So if you're chasing us, we should own it.
All right.
So Steve Mnuchin used to be my banker before he got into politics. He was the Treasury Secretary. And I saw that he owned 11%, just under 11%. And I called him up and I said, hey, do you want to own this stake in Stars? It's publicly traded. And he said, because I said, are you willing to sell it? He said, not at these prices. And I said, well, I didn't give you a price. I just asked you a question. Are you willing to sell it? He said, let me think about it. He called me back. He said, I'll sell it for $25 million. I said, no problem. Let's do it. We'll close tomorrow. So I bought it. And it was a key move because it's hard to buy close to 11% of a company without driving up the price because you're buying so many shares. So I was able to get it done quietly and under the radar. It was a really good move for us because we ended up being the second largest stockholder instantly. And now we have a seat at the table. And so I've made it very clear I plan to buy the whole company. I want to control that company. My first preference would be to keep it public and to take 52% of it and just control it. But they immediately adapted a poison pill and they said, hold up.
I saw that.
We do not want you to own this company or control this company. So they took a poison pill to stop me. And I said, that's okay. That won't stop me. You'll just delay us, but we will eventually get what we want. My preference is for it to stay public and for me to control it 51% or greater. But if I have to, I'll buy the whole company, fire everybody, fire the board, not the people working there, get rid of the board for resisting me, and then take it back public.
Have you reached out to somebody like 50 Cent? I mean, to me, 50 Cent is the person who put Stars on the map.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have not.
Okay.
I didn't want to put him in a bad place and, have him to, figure out what side, just let him stay neutral, which I think is a smart place to stay. Let us duke it out in terms of who's going to own it, who's going to control it. But I'm highly confident eventually I will control Stars.
You just bought BuzzFeed as well.
Yeah, I bought BuzzFeed.
I mean, to your point, yeah, he's buying things, but it's working for him.
I mean, it's working for him because a lot of his strategy in acquiring all of this has been through courts and through force and, suing for equity, so to speak, and the right to be involved in these conversations. And I'm not mad at that. I just I hear a lot of, and obviously he's a Black man, so yes, but I hear a lot about Blackness and what it means for him to have these stakes. But in all of the time that he's been acquiring these things, I don't hear any executive trees. Like I said, I don't hear of any creatives that he's gone to. You buy stars and then what? You know, kind of, I believe he still owns Bounce. Yes.
I'm not sure if he's on
I can't remember which one of those he owns, but what has come of that? I know that there were some sitcoms that he was doing that felt very dated in terms of the style and the way that they moved. I think there's a show with Bill Bellamy he did, and something else. Listen, I'm all for it. I'm rooting for everybody Black, as Issa says. But after that, what does that mean and look like if we're all rooting for you to get to 1 billion and own all of these things? What does that then look like in service for us?
Right. I mean, yeah, I think though, I like his business savvy, you know, him identifying somebody that owns stake. And instead of, you know, in going that route and how he bought the 11% or just under 11% stake in Stars, I think that shows the difference between a Byron Allen or Tyler Perry versus a 50 Cent. You know, 50 Cent's name came up. I mean, and 50 Cent, to me, he acts like a mogul, but he's an executive producer. I mean, well, let me finish.
Okay.
I think he's an executive producer, and the hype that he portrayed to have, I think that is wearing thin now. As far as it relates to 50, he is an executive producer. His name holds a lot of weight, but when it comes to financing and acquiring things, he's not on that level.
He's not, and I will say Byron has been very open that he gets his game from the white business people that he deals with. And he's made the statement that they are at times more open to offering him the information that he needs to make these moves. So he got his game from the man, which is cool. And as far as with 50, I agree, great executive producer, but he understands his audience in ways like Tyler does. And we'll see what happens with the Millennium Studios that he bought in Louisiana. He's come up with some things where the filming and tax credits that were made it attractive have been taken away. So I look at what he did 20 years ago with Vitamin Water and how he took equity in the company to build out his thing. So I feel as though, and I look at that he went and talked to Tyler Perry when he was ready to buy that thing. So I have a lot of qualms with 50 about some things, but I do think that he is reaching out and making the connections with those that have done it or are doing something similar to make sure that he understands the game. So I respect that. Once again, who is in Byron's tree? Where are his executives? Who is he helping to put on to pass this game along so that we in the community can benefit from it as well?
Well, I know a lot of the comedians, they get game from him. I've seen a lot of them talk about it and how he's actually opening spaces with that late night spot. It's providing a lot of comedians time to have television time, which is something you don't see. So I think I've seen a lot of comedians, Black in particular, talk about Byron Allen and the opportunities that he's affording them. The chat is saying, let's see, Patricia Jackson says, because they're takers only. Not sure what part of the conversation that came from. But Nancy Wall says, I think he's going to do good things. Just give him time. He's not going to disclose everything. And Southbound says, Byron is the way, especially owning the Weather Channel, brilliant buy. And so And Nancy Wall also says, why isn't 50 making more noise in Louisiana with the election mess? He could make some moves. I mean, that's another issue with 50 Cent. He, before all of this Supreme Court rulings happened, he was posting pictures with Jeff Landry, the governor, and all in the Republicans' faces. So it'll be interesting to see how he moves, because he stepped into a political space, and now you have all these Black people impacted by his new friends. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds to that. Oh, Southbound says he also owns Byron Allen owns HBCU Go. So I mean, that's totally Black led. So he's supporting Black people in that space.
I feel it, but I don't know. To me, I see him acquiring things the way he's doing it. Genius, you're cleaning up the back stuff, you're suing your way in, but I don't really feel that. I feel he's had a number of years with his stations, and I don't see any impact. I'm not saying don't support him. I just don't really see the impact. I don't know if he is utilizing this space as others do for positioning. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, let's jump into our next conversation, which is an interesting one to have. Let's talk about BET. So we know Drewski's hosting, which is exciting. A lot of people are looking forward to that. And the nominations are officially in. Now, Cardi B is leading the pack with 6 nods. Kendrick Lamar has 5. And it's going to be a massive night celebrating Black excellence. We hope, because sometimes BET is a hit or miss. But while the culture is hyping up the stage, some are looking at the boardroom and pointing out the silent elephant in the room, which is BET is no longer Black owned. After the corporate mergers and Paramount buying out Tyler Perry's remaining stake, culture's biggest night is technically owned by corporate boardrooms, which are white men in power. So that's something to really think about. You know what I mean? We're excited, but it's not ours.
So it hasn't been ours in 25 years. When Paramount owned it, it wasn't ours. It is who they have in the building. Now, we know that they did a massive layoff when this merger happened. And I used to work at BET, so I have friends that were still there, that had been there decades, literally, that were let go. I don't know how much Blackness for this show, for example, is still in the building. However, it will be produced by Jesse Collins Entertainment, which is Black owned and has produced it for many years. So it's a catch-22, because we want to support our own and make sure that things like our legacy brands and the people that are involved are still supported and, out there for our representation. But it's not a Black owned entity. However, it hasn't been in a very, very long time. And some of our favorites, 106 and Park, Sunday Best, things of that nature, were all done under a white held ownership. So
I think the difference is the ownership of who owns CBS and Paramount now, which is a big difference from the ownership before. So we know that the ownership is under Keith Ellison's son, which is basically Keith Ellison, which is one of Trump's right-hand men when it comes to technology and media. And so I think that's the difference in the whiteness. It was reported today or yesterday about how, certain journalists and producers were let go of 60 Minutes. And so now there's this big turnaround as far as the narrative that's happening at CBS, which is beyond what it was before. So I think that is the bigger issue, who owns it now. And then you see, you just see different changes happening under this ownership, of CBS and BET. I know just a few weeks ago when they dropped the rest of Divorce Sisters, they messed up and dropped the whole season of Oval Office, and by accident. And then, like within 48 hours, they had to pull it down. Now, I wonder what Tyler Perry had to say about that. And we also talked about, him no longer having stake in it. That was a big deal for us at BET, for Tyler Perry to have acquired some stake in BET Plus. And so I think for me, that is the bigger problem, is who has the ownership now.
I mean, I agree that Ellison. Oh, go ahead, Greer.
No, I wanted to say, just reiterate what you just said, Jill. It hasn't been Black for a very long time, but BET was also one of those places, like unlike all the other networks, where Black people were employed, and that was their whole career was there. Like they, you know what I mean? Like people worked at BET for a long time, as opposed to a lot of other networks. I think the Grill has like 2 people over there. Like it might have been that way since Byron's owned it, at least, for a long time as well. So it's just, it hasn't been Black owned for a long time, but a lot of Black people have been working there for a long time, unlike a lot of other places.
They absolutely have. Like I said, I have several friends that have been there, were there when I worked there, after I left. And so there is a difference in the building, so to speak. Even BET announced that they are jumping into the vertical microdrama space, and the company that they're partnering with is led by 2 white women. So I'm not saying that there aren't concerns there and there aren't changes that are happening, but to keep it a buck, it's been white owned. There were problems there as far as advertising dollars, the amount of money that our advertising blocks would get on BET as opposed to the other companies, that VH1 and MTV at the time, that were all grouped together in the Viacom ownership. I just think that obviously there are concerns with this particular ownership group, and we know that they are complying with Trump's requests about DEI and things around that to make sure that they stay within his favor. But
and even in with the escape of Project 2025, and you brought up the vertical, and where do vertical programming lie? On TikTok. And guess who owns TikTok? The owner of the Ellisons.
Yeah.
And you say it's 2 white women. So I think it's white, but it's a different type of white. It's clan white.
It is. And we will see. But one thing that is for certain is that, we always figure it out. But I do honestly, I am concerned for BET as a network overall. I'm concerned with what happens to the programming that next week is absorbed into Paramount Plus, that was on BET Plus, because it will be a page there. But I suspect, just knowing servers and how much, they hold at a time, that you will see less and less of some of our beloved shows that were on BET Plus, as far as Paramount. But I also think that there is opportunity in these things. So this is when I know Byron Allen was rebuffed when he tried to purchase BET within that. But this is when, on the other side, there is opportunity. And I want to see someone like Byron Allen utilize the wealth of resources he already owns and put these things in place, or be the person you say you want to be to the culture, because we do have options now. And Tyler's going to be fine. We know he has deals with Prime and with Netflix, and
Paramount.
He still does. I just wonder how much that will still be. Obviously, those shows are there and they're doing what they're doing, and he's not taking them with him. But I have noticed that Sisters is now on Hulu.
Paramount.
Things of that. No, it's on Hulu. Like they've
Hulu,
licensed it out. So I'm just curious to see what happens with that programming.
Divorce Sisters is the big show now for him. and they have taken that off BET Plus and moved that over to Paramount. And I know because I had to purchase Paramount because I love that show. That if you guys have not watched Divorced Sisters, I'm telling you, you're missing it all. If you love the have and have nots, I mean, it is just it's better than the Oval. It's probably some of his best work, I would say. But I had to. They took it off of BET Plus. And they put it on Paramount. And so, like you say, it's kind of like this downsizing of BET Plus, and you're going to get all of this programming now on Paramount. And in that mix-up, they released the Oval. So, I mean, they're trying to figure it out too. And that's what happens when you don't have seasoned professionals, and you just start putting random people in places like this Trump administration likes to do. And apparently his friends that he gives networks to, they're putting all these random people in these places and they don't know what they're doing. It's not crossing over. But let's get back to the BET nominations. Did you see the list of nominees?
I did.
I think the nomination, it's too many people in the nomination pool. The list is like 10 and 12 names.
I think they do that because let's be honest, there's been points where we don't show up for us. And so I think they're like, well, if we throw everybody in the pot, we'll, hopefully we'll get some of those, names that are popping to keep people interested that they tune in to the BET Awards. They just really, everybody that's possibly popping or has done something that'll get a little buzz out, because they want to get names in the building.
Right. Yeah. So there's not a high criteria, I don't think, as maybe some of the other awards, which makes it narrow down to maybe 4 candidates to win. So yeah, that's Culture's biggest night, and it's coming up in June. And so we'll be talking more about that. But another trending story is, of course, Orange G is talking about it tonight on his Swag Hoodie show, which you should check out on YouTube. But this conversation is still going. And social media is completely divided over the NAACP's new Out of Bounds campaign, which calls on top Black athletes coming out of high school to boycott SEC schools in states dismantling voting rights. So we're talking about down south. So some supporters say it's a brilliant blueprint for economic leverage, while critics argue it unfairly uses young athletes as political pawns. So let's take a look at what content creator Garrison had to say.
The NAACP's Out of Bounds initiative is crazy. Let me introduce you to Kylan Hill. This young man took a courageous stand that changed an entire state. This week, the NAACP asked student athletes to boycott schools in states across the South that are working to dilute Black political power through gerrymandering. The idea is that if you mess with these folks' money and the teams they love, they'll think twice about violating our community. And predictably, some folks are acting like this plan is unrealistic. But history is on the NAACP's side. The year was 2020, and Mississippi state flag still featured the Confederate stars and bars. That's crazy. People have been trying to get the flag changed for decades. But at the height of pressure, Kylan Hill, who had just been named the state's best player the year before, he took a stand. He posted this on Twitter: either change the flag or I won't be representing the state anymore. I'm tired. It is widely believed that by using his leverage, Kylan Hill had an outsized impact on the state's decision to change the flag. The NAACP isn't asking you to have your skull fractured like 25-year-old John Lewis on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. They aren't asking you to be beaten in jail like Fannie Lou Hamer. They aren't asking for student athletes to have food smashed on their heads or to get stomped out during a desegregation demonstration. They're asking families to use their leverage in a moment where equal protection under the law is fading fast, when the voices of Black communities are being erased, in a time where we need more radical action. You're being asked to do what you can, and I don't think that's unreasonable at all. If you think the NAACP's out of
thoughts,
well, I think, obviously we've seen this before. We've seen the power that Black athletes can yield. You can take it all the way back to that group of, Jim Brown, Kareem, Muhammad Ali. We obviously know what Muhammad Ali did. He lost a good portion of his career in his prime years taking a stand. So I do believe that it can work. Having said that, you are asking these young men to give up the potential for economic empowerment amongst themselves, to move themselves ahead, to be able to, you know, establish some type of leverage in the draft and set their whole families up. And I know that that used to be who we collectively were, but now I don't. The movement has always been carried by young people, but I don't know if it is fair to put the pressure on these athletes to, you know, forego what could potentially be their path to generational wealth.
So Orange G is saying the SEC has hired a crisis manager, and guess what? He's a black man. He says, in my opinion, he was hired to talk to the NAACP, so the boycott will go away. Not on my watch. It's the cause. And then Nancy Wall says that definitely is a courageous move for the young man, and it worked in his favor. I'm mixed on this. What about the professional athletes already making money? I think that's another conversation that should be had too. Like, where's the pressure from the NFL or the NBA or the Major League Baseball players that have teams down south? Are they talking to their owners to see what, you know, they're doing and where they stand? And so I think I'm with you. I'm kind of mixed on it. But we are living in some unprecedented times for our generation. It's not unprecedented times. If we look back at the civil rights movement and we look at slavery, it's not unprecedented, but we are living in some unprecedented times. And I mean, you know, some of our legacy organizations are taking playbooks from things that worked in the past. You know, and when you think about like the Montgomery bus boycott, and how, you know, when you stop the money, which goes back to this whole conversation about economic inclusion or just economics. Mm-hmm. The only thing that it seems like that's driving this Trump administration is money. So if you hit them in their pockets, then maybe you get their attention. And so it is a catch-22, but we're living in times that call for drastic measures.
We definitely are. I'm curious to see how it all plays out. As far as professional athletes, I think the idea is how much money the SEC generates. So I don't even, not to say that professional athletes wouldn't make an impact, but if the idea is to hit their wallets, the amount of money the SEC generates in those southern states, some of which may not have pro teams, you know, in it, or at least to that level with the type of community support. I think that this one, right approach in targeting the colleges, because the youth is where a lot of movements take place, but I don't know.
I mean, and I think it's an interesting thing to think about, because just think of if all those young athletes decide to go to HBCUs, you know, instead, then you actually force the NFL to come to the HBCUs to get the talent, because we know who dominates the NFL. It's Black athletes. So it could bring a surge to HBCUs, and then even help, you know, with their programming, because then you have all of these things like Nike or maybe Puma investing. I mean, it could be a shift if it's intentional, it's organized and right.
I mean, it could be. I just the only thing is that if the ones that are going to make the biggest difference, obviously, are the ones that, again, as Orangey pointed out, you know, 1 of every 25 Black players, so to speak, will make it to the NFL. Well, it has to be really one of those ones, you know, that is earmarked to make the shift, because a lot of we see what happened with Deion and Jackson State and how he changed that program relatively quickly. I don't know if these other programs are in position to be turned around that quickly with someone dedicated, where once again, these young men are going to be giving up opportunity. That's the biggest thing. We are not currently in a status where we is bigger than me. And you have to convince these guys that the potential to be seen, all of these things that they are probably banking their future around can still be had in a program that doesn't have all of the things.
Well, I mean, and that's why, to launch a campaign, the NAACP to launch this campaign, these are all of the measures and steps that they should be considering. And looking at the top players and having some type of strategy to talk to them, because you can't just throw it out there. Now you have to have these meetings with these athletes to explain to them what's at stake and to give them a reason why this has to be done. Orange G also said 85% of the football players in the SEC are Black males. I think that this is a great concept, but the NAACP definitely has a lot more work to do. And they probably need to have some coalition building with some of these scouters that are out here scouting, and really make this campaign more than just out of bounds, but actually get in there, talk to these athletes. But I think it could be a paradigm shift if it's done right. And a way for our HBCUs to, come up. Why not? Why not at this time in our country focus more on HBCUs? Why not in this time in this country really double down? Because you don't have to worry about DEI being cut from an HBCU.
Well, you do, kind of, because they do get government funding. And though it is not, it may not necessarily be something called DEI or things like that. If they feel they aren't being compliant in other ways, they can try and mess around with their stuff, So, I think that it is an incredible ask. And obviously, unprecedented times call for extraordinary measures. But I really think that there needs to be, coaches from HB involved that can talk to these families, that can explain to these students how they will benefit, right, socially in other areas, because they're also losing those other 24 players that Orange G mentioned that won't go to the NFL. What they do get, I don't know if all of them take advantage of it in the SEC, are the networking things. It's like why people go to USC and stuff that can help position them outside of that to the things around it. So I just, it's an incredible plan. I just hope that, these young men, perhaps women, if they extend it to other sports, basketball and so forth, don't get moved around from both sides as pawns.
Right. Well, in chess, everybody has to play a role. At the end of the day, everybody has a part to play. But I think that, this is something that has potential. It just has to have a little more strategy. Because right now we're talking about broad strokes. But if we really want to be intentional, I think that this is not just about the students, but it's also about empowering our HBCUs and making them just as attractive as institutions. Because at the end of the day, we have to start realizing our economic power is our culture. And that's what they want. We are the culture. We dictate pretty much entertainment in this country of what the trends are. And so it's like, how do we start reimagining how we own, what we bring to the table? And one of those pipelines, it's not the only pipeline, but one of those pipelines is our HBCU institutions. So how can we take this moment not to just make it about the athletes, but also to make it about our HBCUs? And this whole campaign of like alumni, you brought up that some of them are state funded, But it's statistically proven that white folks, do more for their PWIs than Black folks do for our HBCUs. So that's another paradigm shift that we have to happen. But this is an opportunity for all of these things to come to fruition as we reimagine what it means to be Black in America. Because it's still an experiment, y'all. We are still experimenting with this. But we do have some assets. We have our HBCUs and we have our culture.
Yes, we do.
So how do we do that?
And I mean, we have footholds in business, so opportunity in every down cycle. So hopefully we will see the best on the other side of this. And and within that, this isn't, shade or anything, because I love, the attitude of a Howard graduate, Spelman, Clark, Morehouse. But I also would like to see some of the smaller HBCUs get some love and people understand the benefit of attending there too, because it can't just be those four.
Right. No, for sure. And that's really on a national level. But if you're down south and you've attended an HBCU, that's not really a thing. That's just what you see on mainstream. But in Black America, where you went is where you represent, and it's bigger than Howard and Spelman and all of that. And so I will say that that's what I mean. We have to reimagine we are enough. Within our community and what we say, we are enough. And if we own that, that is our equity. That is our seat at the table. Can you imagine if we were able to get a hold of our Black athletes and make them come to us for them? Because you can't have the NFL without Black men. You just can't have it. Can't have the NFL without Black folks or the WNBA. So just think if we took that power and we owned it, it would be a paradigm shift, y'all. That's all I'm saying. Let's jump into this next story. I just thought this was interesting, and I think I just want to know what the chat feels about it. So Khloe Kardashian, the Kardashians always find a way to get our attention, okay? Even when we wasn't even looking for it. So she revealed that she pushed Tristan Thompson to get a vasectomy before their 2021 breakup. And the former couple also revealed that they saved sperm in the event Tristan remarries and his future wife wants biological children. Take a look at this.
Do you want to have more kids in the future?
I think I signed off for 2 embryos. So, I mean, if I do have more kids, it'd be coming from you. I already have enough baby moms. I don't want no more.
Yeah, smart.
More than enough.
And who helped you fix that decision? That was me.
Yeah.
Tristan may have had a little ultimatum from me.
What? Getting neutered?
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta lay them nuts on the table.
What? Okay.
It's a podcast. You could say,
You could say whatever you want.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. Shout out our sponsors. Oh, yeah. Sometimes you have to make the right exact. Sometimes we had a conversation.
Sometimes you have to get forced into the right decision.
Yeah. I've been a little hard-headed at times, more times than not.
Yeah.
Which I wish I wasn't as stubborn. But I guess I am an experienced learner. I learn from experience, not as much as like
she basically told him that if you get with somebody else, I'm the only person that can have your babies.
I mean, he went for it. I mean, I think there's a couple of things. One, vasectomies are reversible. So, I mean, they're hyping that up.
Some of them are. Some of them are, right?
Yeah.
Some of them are permanent. Some of them are not.
I'm pretty sure his is reversible. But also, when I look at Tristan, I think, one, he's Canadian. Two, it probably
wait, stop. What does that have to do with anything? He's Canadian. Tell me more.
I think that as far as like culture, Blackness or whatever, it's a little different. That's all. I just think that some of the things maybe that if he was maybe an American-born Black man, it might have been a little different. I don't know. But I think that one, it wasn't bad advice for him because, dude, you're out here popping off with all of these random babies. You don't think to put on a condom when you're on these adventures. Certainly you don't believe that your sperm is the prize. So I don't think it was a bad move. They got the embryos and the sperm locked up. You know, he already has 4. So he probably isn't looking to have a bunch more anyway.
You think so?
It's
just, the things that the Kardashians do, their reality, it's just, I find it so fascinating. It's so different from ours. We're trying to figure out this and that, and they're trying to figure out, how can I make my ass bigger? How do I get this facelift? How do I preserve my eggs? I mean, just the level of reality that is theirs versus common folks, it just blows my mind. And it's a little vain and self-centered.
So you think the vasectomy thing was not a common thing?
I don't see the average woman telling somebody to go get a vasectomy so that my eggs are the only babies that you'll have for the rest of your life. I don't see that as a common thing, Jill. No, I don't.
I mean, I think maybe on its surface, but I also think that at times we, I think people give them a lot more credit, not as far as discovering things, but as to how they move and what they do outside of a thing. They have the same type of dysfunction everybody has. And I think with someone like Christian, that's why I brought up the fact that he's not a Black American, that he was raised Canadian. So, one of the things that I find consistent with the Black men that have dated the Kardashian women is the ones that were caught up the most did not have a Black father figure in their lives, or he was damaged in some way. If you look at Lamar, you look at Kanye, who, had a scattered relationship with his dad. There's a couple of other examples that I can use. And I think that one of the ways that they draw people in is because they are a close family unit, and that these men have never seen that before. And it is seductive to them. And it gets into their mind state and how they process. And they allow them, I feel like they allow them to kind of take over because they feel this sense of family that they hadn't seen. It's a different thing, the way their family interacts, the way they bond, the way they come together. It's different for them. And I think that if you look at the men, especially the Black men that get caught in all of the stuff with them, there's not a strong father from the situations they come from. Tyga, any number of them. So
wow. So they
look at Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush had a strong family unit. He got out.
Aquarius, the only real sign, says Tristan is slow with about 10 W's. Emphasizing the slow. Michelle Madison says she asked her ex-husband to get a vasectomy. It's major surgery for women. She's talking about a hysterectomy, of course. And so, to each his own, but that's a great point that you bring up, that the Kardashians, when they get men that have issues, daddy issues, that plays well for them.
I mean, I think it does. It just, I see Southbound says that the woman that went viral on how to lock down an athlete, he said, was she wrong? She wasn't wrong, but here's the thing. What she was saying doesn't just work for white women. It works for any woman if you're willing to take on those traits. So I feel like we give sometimes a lot of credit, for lack of a better word, to these things that these white women are doing, and they get in there and envelop these men's mind. No, they let them. They let them, and it's not that hard. But I think what is the Cromartie Camardi. I can't remember his first name. He has like 11 kids. A couple of those kids came after he had a vasectomy. So, you know, I know an NBA player that got a vasectomy, got it reversed so that when he and his wife married, because she didn't have children. And so he wanted to be able to give her children. So, I mean, not like that. Surgery is surgery, but vasectomies are easily reversible. And I think, you know, for him, it's to his financial benefit.
So, yeah, it's a lot there to talk about. So chat, keep letting us know how you feel about that story. But a couple more stories before we get out of here. And it's about this tacky 250th anniversary that this Trump administration is planning for that seems to be falling apart on the music side. But first, let's tackle the UFC arena that is being built on the White House lawn ahead of the President Trump's 80th birthday. Take a look at this.
The president at the White House is erecting a 90-foot tall UFC octagon and 5,000 seats in order to host a cage fight. This is planning for Donald Trump's 80th birthday next month. Structure quite a bit larger than the White House itself. Wealthy donors are, quote, sponsoring the event, which is another way that there is sort of a new thing that didn't otherwise exist that can use money to curry favor with Trump, whether you call that the swamp, as he did when he campaigned, or something more troubling, as I guess in the eye of the beholder. You can see the construction zone from just feet away from the other demolition site on your screen, which used to be the East Wing. I mean, this image right here reveals both the president's priorities while people pay more for gas and we're at war, and just the kind of chaotic situation you get when you don't have oversight and you don't have a Congress that has really enforced anything. So the president can just demolish buildings and put up a wrestling site and ignore other problems. And that's DC right now. It's not an allegory. It's what it looks like. Your president at the White House.
Your president at the White House turning up. Did you see the story that's coming out now that he wants this $250 bill that he's pushing through for the anniversary? So now not only, and first of all, U.S. currency is only for dead presidents, not for living ones. And so yesterday, you know, Caroline Lovitz is out on maternity leave. So they just have random administration appointees and his secretaries doing the press conference. And yesterday it was a Treasury secretary, and he looked like well, I'm not even gonna say it, but he was talking about this $250 bill. And then you have this arena that they're erecting up on the White House lawn. Then I saw that they're gonna have the race car drivers do something down the mall. I mean, what is going on, Jill?
He's a narcissist. He's a narcissist. He's just like, I'm gonna run this like, you know, all of my bad businesses I ran into the ground and just do what I want and cherry pick the things that work for me. It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. And so then yesterday, of course, we talked about this. And we talked about it and we brought it up and we named all these people that they named yesterday that would be performing at this festival that they're supposed to be having called the 250 Great American State Fair. So not only are they going to have the race cars, the UFC, the $250 bill, they're going to have a fair. They have fair, like the LA County Fair. You know, they have performances. So they named all of these names. And so it's come out. Morris Day and the Time has released a statement. The Commodores, Father and C, Milli Vanilli. They're all saying, we're not doing that. We thought that it was just some type of concert in DC. We didn't know that it had this much political affiliation, and our music is for everybody, not one particular party. So no. So now half of their lineup has pulled out.
I mean, we've seen that. I mean, I had questions because I was just talking about Young MC a couple of weeks ago, where he'd been and how it was so amazing when he dropped that he was a USC graduate and doing that. And I'm like, wait, he's a Trumper? But we've seen this administration play games as far as music use artist music without their consent, things of that nature. It's not surprising that they were trying to mislead and get people up in there that may not necessarily be on board with their agenda. So I'm happy that they spoke out and have removed themselves from their involvement.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Get your popcorn, folks, because I think that we're going to be watching for all the wrong reasons, because all this is going to fall apart. I just see it now. I mean, the reflective pool that he's painting blue is half blue. I mean, how long does it take to paint a reflective pool? And let's not forget to mention that he gave millions to somebody who cleaned his pool. He gave the bid to one of his pool people. So he has all of his people, and we don't know how much of taxpayer dollars he's using to do all of this. And none of us asked for it. We didn't even ask for a 250-year celebration.
Listen, I guess he's trying to create the 1976 bicentennial or centennial, whatever that celebration was, but he could cool it, please.
Right, and we'll see how Congress works on this $250 bill, because it's not even legal. What is he doing? But last story of the day before we get to our Black Fact is tennis fans are watching history happen in real time. At just 17 years old, Maurice Kwame is turning the French Open into his personal breakout party after becoming the youngest man to win a match since at the Roland Garros since 1991. Now he's French. He shocked the U.S. Open in his Grand Slam debut, and he didn't stop there. Now, this match, Jill, was 4 hours and 56 minutes. Okay. Now, Maurice has pushed his way into the third round after surviving the dramatic 5-set battle. And so now all eyes are on Maurice.
I mean, keep going. You know, like we said, I think men's tennis is due for some new energy as far as it goes. We've seen a lot of young Black women break out in tennis. So I am loving to see, you know, a young, no, he's not American, but I'm loving to see new energy. And, you know, we have a way when we do what we do. So,
that's what I'm saying. We are the culture. You know, I mean, Maurice, we know nothing about him. Now we like Maurice Kwame. Who's that? We love it. We love to see it. And I think that's a great way to kind of end the show. We started with Black men. And, you know, we're ending it with we are the culture, and we have to feel comfortable and confident to me in that because we do have leverage. When we look at what's happening with our country, I mean, we are powerful within ourselves. But just like that Montgomery bus boycott, we have to figure out where we can hit them in their pockets because that's really when they're going to start paying attention to us.
Indeed, indeed. That's the thing that makes most people pay attention.
Right. Money makes the world go round. So before we get out of here, I want to thank you, Jill, for joining us this morning. Let all of our viewers know where they can keep up with you.
Monday through Thursday, I'm on KBLA Talk 1580. It's KBLA 1580 on YouTube, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. You can find me on social media everywhere at Stiletto Jill and here on Fridays.
So is there any junkets or interviews that you have up that we could tap into?
And so I recently spoke with Boots Riley and Lakeith Stanfield for their new film, I Love Boosters. Keke Palmer is also in that. Also talked to the cast of The Chi. It's their final season. Coming up, I spoke with Chloe Bailey and Malcolm Lee they have a new film coming out on Peacock called Strung. It's a psychological thriller. And next week I'll be talking to the cast of Raising Kanan for the final season. So all of those.
All right. So be sure to tap into Jill Monroe. She has all of those interviews. Maybe we'll bring some of those over if you will indulge us on a Friday. So we can see what you're up to. I love that. So before we get out of here, don't forget for the latest in Black news in between time till we get to Monday, make sure that you visit blackpressusa.com. And always support your local Black newspaper where the truth is there. And they're giving you the stories that you're not seeing in mainstream media. So before we get out of here, we were talking about the 250th anniversary, but there's a big event happening on June 19th, and that is the opening of the Obama Presidential Center. Have a great weekend and take a look at this.